Welcome to One-on-One. I'm Greg Bassey, your host from the Salisbury Independent newspaper. It's another big day here at PAC 14. We have Patti Tingle with us from MEC Incorporated. Welcome, Patti.
Well, thank you for having me.
Now, you're the relatively new executive director over there. Peggy, who was the executive director for 90 years, 100 years, how long was she executive director?
She was there for about 39 years.
So you're following a legend.
Yes.
And that can always be difficult, but how's it going over at MEC?
Oh, it's exciting. Every day is a new adventure. We just love what happens at MEC, and it's a exciting time.
Now, MEC is a very dynamic place. I've been over there. I love the facility. Tell us what MEC is for people who might not know.
Well, MEC, let's start with the name.
Sure.
MEC is short for Maintaining Active Citizens. And what that means essentially is that the focus of our efforts is on individuals who are 50 to 55 years of age and older. And when we begin to think about that population, we think about, oh, that may be retirement age, that may be nursing home type individuals, but in fact, it's really all of the above. So we talk with those who may be in the sandwich generation, thinking about caring for older citizens, to those who could be in their 90s, still driving, still very actively engaged in the community, or those who may not be as actively engaged and need some help to manage their day-to-day activities. We're there for everybody in between and that sandwich generation who's trying to help take care of that loved one.
Yeah, and just having turned 55 a year ago, my problem is that, the best I feel all day is when I first wake up.
Well, welcome to our crowd.
And that's a problem.
The water's warm. Come on in.
Speaking of that, the facility's great. There's so much to do there. Talk about all the things you have there.
Oh, it's just endless. So we can talk about our Meals on Wheels program first, which we seem to be most well known for those activities. Meals on Wheels is, as the name sounds, providing nutritious meals to individuals living at home who cannot otherwise prepare that meal or get out of the home to do their shopping. It gets that nutritious meal to them at least once a day. We're serving 4 counties, Wicomico, Worcester, Somerset, and Dorchester, with our meals program. And on average, we're preparing out of our kitchens at the MEC Center in Salisbury 500 to 700 meals a day, depending on our distribution. But our distribution is not limited to home-delivered meals because we also do what we call congregate meals. And our congregate meals are delivered through our senior activities. So at the center, we invite people to come in Monday through Thursdays and get involved in the activities and enjoy lunch with us. The lunches are prepared on-site. We provide them in a group setting, so you have a chance to meet, mingle, chat with other individuals your age. And we do that at the MEC Center in Salisbury, which is located at 909 Progress Circle, just off Snow Hill Road, across from Dayton's restaurant, as many people would recognize that as a landmark.
You're just saying because Dayton's has an older clientele.
And we love them, everyone. We also do that same type of activity in Westover with the Somerset County Senior Center. We do it at 4 locations in Worcester County. We do it in Pocomoke, Snow Hill, Berlin, and Ocean City. So we have activities going on. And we have a wonderful partner in Dorchester County with Delmarva Community Services who also does similar programming in that county.
Right. Through my work with United Way, I know how important Meals on Wheels is, that it's like the rare connection. Some people, it's the only human connection they have.
And that's true. Many times it's not just delivering that nutritious meal and making sure somebody can eat and have a good diet in the course of their day, but it's also saying, how are you? Is today a good day for you? Are there any things that you're concerned about? Can we help you with things? So we've had occasions where, we have found individuals who are not having a good day and needed medical attention or just needed somebody to walk out to the paper box and retrieve the newspaper for them.
Right.
So yes, that personal touch means a lot.
The MEC Center, so it's pretty new, less than 10 years old.
It is. Opened its doors in 2009.
Right.
We're very thankful to everyone to help support MEC who got that building up. It's tremendously just a wonderful facility over what they had experienced in the past.
Over at Pine Bluff.
And yet love that location, love the facility, lots of wonderful memories there. But at MEC we have not only our Meals on Wheels program, but we also have an array of services that think about the day-to-day activities. So if people are thinking about retiring, what should we be thinking about? And our favorite logo is, or motto is, if you fail to plan, you're planning to fail. You need to plan retirement. So you need to stay active, you need to stay engaged, you need to think about what you're going to do. You know, we hear the story about, I'm going to play lots of golf, I'm going to read my book. But we find out after a few months, golf gets old.
Not even that, 4 days and you're ready.
And it's time to come inside.
Yeah.
So what else can we do? MAC can help make those connections. We have wellness programs, and it's all about if you're struggling to keep healthy, keep your body physically engaged. We have a gym that is for the 55 plus population, targeting specifically muscle toning and exercising, doing it in classes like yoga, or we do Tai Chi, other programs. So lots of interesting stuff. You may have seen some spots with Roger Fallabout from PRMC, who brags constantly about one of our machines, the anti-gravity machine.
Yeah, the anti-gravity machine. I went out and visited him and watched that because I was going to do a story about it. And that gym is amazing. It's like a top-level gym, but it's not an intimidating environment at all. It feels very comfortable there.
And physical trainers available.
Yeah, people there to help you all the time.
Yes. So we have volunteers, we do group activities in the gym, lots of good stuff. We're also doing classes related to how do you manage diabetes, how do you manage pain. If you're living with chronic pain or any chronic conditions, we have classes that can help you manage those type of activities. And when I say manage, it's you're in control. You take charge. You stop that disease from running your life. You run your own life. And we can show you how.
Wow.
So activities for seniors during the day. We have educational opportunities through wellness programs. But we've also have a new partner in our what we call education wing. It's the Purdue Family Educational Center.
Beautiful addition to that.
And in there, the Association for Lifelong Learning is providing what you might call continuing ed type classes, where you can learn everything about travel to France, the Egyptian pyramids, how they were built, all sorts of topics. So we certainly enjoy having them as partners in the facility as well.
Yeah, it's such a great destination. It's light and bright, and clean and new, and it just looks like a fun place.
And in the facility, in the MAC facility, we are not alone. We also have critical partners because we're recognized in the state of Maryland as an Aging and Disability Resource Center. So one of our partners is the Bay Area Center for Independent Living, who serves individuals with any and all disabilities. And then we have PRMC's Weight Loss Center, so we're happy to have them also in our facility, helping individuals with challenges of good nutrition and managing their lives.
Yeah, I know all about that.
So we want people to take control of their lives, and that's what MAC is all about, maintaining active citizens.
With the shore changing so much, the whole gray shore thing, more and more retired people moving here, what does that do to the dynamic and what you do with your job?
We see more people coming in, we get more phone calls, more questions. We are at the threshold of what we believe to be a tsunami. We are going to not be able to meet the demands of our community. We know that currently the population in the Lower Shore area is about 16 to 17% senior population. And we're anticipating that's going to jump in the next 5 to 10 years to 25%.
Right.
And so if you think about that, you should think about that not only from our position as a service provider and how are we going to meet the demands, but if I'm a real estate agent or if I'm a restaurateur or another business, how am I going to adjust my business to serve an aging population? What do they want? How are they spending their free dollars? What are the activities they're getting involved in? What's their home look like? Maybe they want to downsize and get away from that 2.5-story home that they've had for years and get smaller and think about enjoying more of their life than just maintaining their home. So lots of things to think about as our population changes.
Yeah, and especially as people move here, they have different demands than people who might have been from here.
And surprisingly enough, what we find in being in the service provision industry as a nonprofit, we're getting more and more calls from people who have moved here. Our local residents are folks who have been raised here, have generations here, do not seem to call upon us as much as people who come here from other areas. And that may be just characteristic of discovery when you come to a new area, or it may be that we have a little bit of Eastern Shore pride, and it's sort of tough to ask for a helping hand.
Yeah, I see that a lot. You know, people won't reach out. They want to cocoon themselves, and
right.
It's a shame. It really is, because it's a great thing.
And we're always there to listen, to lend a helping hand, and if we don't know the answers, we're honest enough to say we don't know. We'll try to find some answers, or at least kind of direct in a different direction so that we can help maybe reduce the stress of any situation.
What do you see in terms of our health? I hear here on the lower shore that we have a higher incidence of cancer because more people smoke, or they're in the sun, farmers, watermen in the sun. Our groundwater is perhaps not as clean as it needs to be, and over time that affects health. What do you see out there at the MEC Center in terms of the people's health, and what do they need to learn while they're there?
Well, cancer indeed has taken its toll on our population, but one of the other things that we see has probably a greater impact is diabetes. Diabetes and nutrition. Nutrition feeds into a lot of the incidents of health that we encounter. But if we could peel that onion just a layer deeper, we would also need to take a look at oral health. If we took statistical review of incidence of rates of disease or conditions, oral health is probably fourth in the list of that disease contributing to death or in decrease in health. So maintaining a good oral health, seeing your dentist, going for those regular checkups is really important. And while we say that now, think about the daily brushing and the flossing that we may do. When people lose their ability to grip because of arthritis, or they lose their range of motion, or because of stroke now, they were once right-handed and left-handed and have to learn new skills, we don't typically think about oral health as being one of those areas that suffers in our life. When we take a look at people in nursing homes, we think about, are they getting their medications? And if they're bedbound, are they turned frequently to prevent the bed sores? But are we also paying attention to oral health? And what does oral health do to those individuals, and how does it impact their lives? So we know that oral health is an issue across Maryland. We know that Mission on Mercy that has come to Salisbury recently does a wonderful job at trying to address this. But from a different perspective, that's almost America's third world approach to addressing oral health needs. Isn't there a better way? So these are questions that we ask ourselves constantly, and how can we help address that? Part of what we do at MEC is to try to remind people that oral health plays a significant role in health management as well. So adding that to our list of activities, we're thinking about our health issues, we're thinking about oral health, we're thinking about diet and nutrition. But what about the insurance? That almighty bill when it arrives in your mailbox and it says you owe thousands of dollars. Yeah. Oh, wait, don't pay it now. This is not a bill we haven't submitted to your insurance company. What do I do with that? And then when I submit it, the insurance company's rejected it. Now what do I do? How do I pay for that ambulance ride? MEC has counselors on hand to help navigate some of those troubled waters as well. So insurance counseling is there. We're helping with that single point of entry for most any issue coming.
It's amazing that you mentioned the oral things. I didn't realize anyone even was aware, but when I think about it, with both of my parents, my grandparents, when they were in their 70s and they started to lose their teeth and they had to make that decision about an insert or dentures, it was traumatic for them, and there was no one really to help them through that.
And we think typically of children and teaching brushing and teaching those skills when we're very young. But as we age, we tend to neglect that piece of our life as we age. So yes, it does play a significant role.
Yeah, when my father got a denture, he like lost 80 pounds the first year because he wasn't eating anything. He was just so unhappy.
Yeah, and getting used to this now, what feels like a mouthful even before you take the first bite, is challenging.
Right. And I'm glad you mentioned the medical bills. I have a medical situation. I had a surgery in May, and the bills are coming in. And I'm a college-educated person. I can't figure it all out, you know. So it must be nice to have someone to lean on if you need that.
And not only should we be exploring that, but we should be thinking about, as we're retiring, there is a law Medicare enforces that if you don't sign up for Medicare at age 65, you say, I don't need it, I'm okay, I'm healthy, I'll wait. If you try to sign up for Medicare at the age of 70 or 72, you will be penalized. You will be back charged for not signing up. So plan to sign up early. If you have employer-provided health insurance, that will come into play, and that may diminish that penalty and can be offset completely.
Right.
But you need to pay attention to those questions. So if you're thinking about retiring, if you see that retirement age kind of looming in the distance, begin to ask some of those questions as well.
Yeah. And people think Medicare is easy because it's just 20% is your responsibility, but it's not easy at all.
It isn't. And the supplemental insurance plans are
No
different.
one understands that stuff, but maybe you all do at MEC.
We do.
Yeah.
And we help people understand if you're taking certain prescriptions, that insurance will not cover your prescriptions.
Right.
However, there are 4 others that you could choose from, and let's take a chance to explore those. Let us help you make good decisions.
Right. The prescription, that's really complicated too, because I thought when George W. Bush was president and they did the prescriptions thing that everything would be free from now on, but that's hardly the case.
Most definitely. That has definitely tied our hands and has restricted health care.
Interesting. You've got an event coming up in October called Thrive. Tell me about that.
This is a wonderful event that we're doing in partnership with independent newspapers.
With us, the Salisbury Independent, yes.
Yay, and we thank you so much for this opportunity. Oftentimes MEC is one of those agencies that you don't know about, and when you really need to know about, you're not certain where to turn. And what we're attempting to do in this event is to get people to begin to think about aging. And aging not as, oh, I'm headed for the nursing home, but aging to thrive. Thrive after 55. Think about what you can do some planning, and get involved. So we're inviting businesses, we're inviting agencies to come, we're going to have speakers, we're going to have activities, experiential activities, clubs and organizations who are going to be featured during that one-day event. It's a Saturday from 10 until 3 in October.
The 14th.
The 14th.
Which is Dwight Eisenhower's birthday.
And what a better day. So we're going to be inviting the public to come check us out, to check out the activities, and to think about how to plan for that future. And particularly because so many times here on the shore we see families separating. And what I mean by that is moms and dads stay here, the children grow up, they go to college, they find jobs in Chicago, California, other places, but now mom and dad needs help. And how do we get the children who are living a long distance away provide that help, or what's available? So we want to help make those connections. So I, mom or dad, can maybe come pick up information or find out information that I can now write down and say to my sons or daughters, when these things happen, I have a plan, and I want you to understand my plan, because then I'll be happy and you'll be relieved and less stress.
Right. So the Thrive events, there'll be a lot of different vendors there. It'll be a great open house kind of thing for you all.
It will be.
And you'll be able to go around and meet with people that you maybe have business contacts or personal contacts with as you go on, as you begin to age or as you age,
Yes.
and just answer a lot of the questions that you might have.
And you'll also get a chance to think about, what am I going to do with all my free time? So we're going to have artists there talking about what it means to be an artist. Maybe you want to write your memoirs. How do you get started? We're going to be talking about those things. Maybe you have an interest in dancing. Let's explore ballroom dancing. We're going to have singers. We'll have all types of activities that you can explore, or maybe you just want to re-engage with your community through civic organizations, such as the Lions or the Red Hats or any number of groups. So you'll have a chance to explore and talk with some of their representatives as well.
I love those red hat ladies when I see them out. They're alive. You talk about thriving. They're thriving. They have a purpose. It's terrific.
And they come together for the social engagement, and you watch. Isolation is one of the biggest determinants of health, is when you isolate and you're not engaging with the community around you. We sometimes in business think, you know, I'm always getting calls and my emails are so demanding and I have staff walking in the door all the time and, oh, I'm just looking forward to the day when I'll have peace and quiet. But sometimes that peace and quiet can be pretty deafening.
Right. Yeah, my grandmother was 104, and what kept her going was her church, her involvement with the church, and having to go 3 times a week for some purpose where she was needed. And it kept her really young for a long time, and she lived forever.
And we are living a long time now. The age of the old is now 95 plus, whereas old used to be 70.
Yeah.
You know, when we look at our population and the people walking through our doors, the fastest growing population we have now is 85 plus.
Wow.
So yes, we are living longer, and we need to think about what are we going to do with ourselves. We have another 30 years ahead of us.
Yeah, like, well, she retired. Well, she didn't retire. Her husband died in 1982, so she lived 30 years by herself. I mean, you couldn't have imagined that would happen.
And for some, they may say, oh, sweet relief, but for others, very lonely.
You also have an event coming up in November. What is that? That's a fun one, too.
That's Antiques Appraisal show that we're inviting in appraisers, local appraisers.
See, now I love that. Every Monday night I watch Antiques Roadshow. So to see something personal like that, local, would be really cool.
And bring your own items.
Right.
If you have something that you have question about, just for a small fee, you can come in and find out what is the real value. And you'd be surprised that something that you've held on to for years because it belonged to your grandmother and it's been in a shoebox may have some true value.
Right. And when is that the date for that?
That'll be Veterans Day, November the 11th.
Okay.
We're offering that as a 10 to 3 function also, and invite people to come in and explore not only the Antique Roadshow portion, but history in the making. We have all types of displays related to history. We're going to be featuring a hog killing activity. If you've never seen it, you might want to check that out. There'll be some antique cars. So anything related to history. We'll be talking about Veterans Affairs and events, and just welcome the public to come in and join us on that.
There's a lot of local interest in history because on our newspaper, I have a history column, like This Day in History, and it's one of the most widely read things that we have.
And we're surprised as we reach our 50s and 60s to think history to our college age is the 70s.
Right.
Wait a minute.
Right.
That wasn't that long ago.
Yeah. This week there was one, they're signing the contract for the new Bennett High School, which has already been torn down. It was from 1961, but they're going to pay like $1.5 million for it. And everybody was alarmed at that outrageous number, $1.5 million.
Yeah.
So it puts things in context, it really is.
It does. So history definitely in the making. Come out and join us. Again, it'll be at the MEC facility, 909 Progress Circle, just off Snow Hill Road.
Why do you do this? Why do you have an interest in helping older people?
It's been my life's mission. I love it. I love working with people. I love the aging and disabled population. And it's not about, oh, poor them, let me help. It's giving them information and saying, now watch you bloom. You make the choice. It's your life. What are you going to do with it? What questions do you have? How can I help you make your choices and do what you want to do? Live where you want to live and become a member of the community that you want to be, not what people tend to pigeonhole you into.
Do you have any like special anecdotal stories that you'd like to tell about someone whose life might have been changed by MEC?
Well,
I know you've got
I have
5,000 of them, but
yeah, I have a couple specifically because I can recall when I first began working with the disabled population. I started work at Holly Center, and Holly Center, for those who may not know, is a residential facility that works with individuals who are medically fragile because of mental retardation and other chronic illnesses. And so because they have these multiple complications of illnesses, many are bedbound or have limited mobility. And as a young person just starting in the field, it was a little scary. And I thought, how do I relate with people who may not be able to communicate or don't have these skills? And I can recall going to work and saying, what am I thinking? I don't understand this population. What am I doing? And it happened to be a snowy day, and I was sitting at my desk, and I heard this thump on the window. And then when I looked at the window, there was chunks of snow hitting the window. So I walked outside to see what it was, and there was an individual from the recreation department pushing a young man in a wheelchair, and they were throwing snowballs at the window. Well, I picked up a snowball, threw it back, the fun began, and I've loved it ever since. So all because of snow, I began in this and have stayed with it. But one of my favorite friends, who's now passed on, is a young man by the name of Damon Elsie, and very dynamic young fellow. He had no movement from his neck down, operated a wheelchair for his mobility with his chin, and watching him leave high school and realize that there was very limited support for him as he engaged to become a young adult. What was he going to do? And he spent days, and he would tell this story, he spent days sitting in his mother's living room staring out the front door and saying, is this my life? So we invited him to become part of the agency. He began to work the reception desk. We were able to equip technology so that he could answer the phones. He became quite a public figure, representing the feats, representing the everyday experience that people should have, regardless of their abilities. And he went into the next life saying, this is the greatest thing I've ever experienced.
Wow.
As he experienced new things in the world. So watching him grow and bloom, and then watching seniors continue to do what they do.
Right.
I currently have my mother living with me. She's 92. She has taken numerous falls, and no, I didn't trip her. She has been able to learn new skills, learn new ways of living, and she comes to MAC every day with me. This is her job, to be a part of this group and to stay engaged. So it works. And working with people, the social connections, it keeps everybody thriving.
I know you guys get a lot of grants and stuff, but you would like to have some help from the community. Talk about that.
Well, let's talk about those grants. You know, we do get...
They're always in threat.
We do get funding from the federal government and the state government, and that funding is continually cut. And we know with the current administration, we can expect more cuts. We also know that when the annual census is done and the reports are released, population numbers change, we get tremendous cuts. So over the last 20 years, we have seen dramatic cuts to our budgets. We're working on a shoestring to survive. We're working to sustain programs that we've been offering out into the community. And the only way we're able to sustain it is through charitable gifts, donations. We get support from the county, and we so appreciate Wicomico County for the help that we get from them, our county council and our county executive.
They speak so highly of you all. In every meeting I cover, I mean, there's never a problem with MAC. They really respect what MAC does.
And they are, at times, our greatest advocates and our greatest allies, and we so appreciate them. But those charitable gifts, those fundraising events, those activities, those $25 checks that people will write and send in, that is what keeps us going.
How can we, if I'm tempted to go out there and see the center, how would you encourage me to get out there? I mean, I can come anytime and take a tour, and
you can come anytime and take a tour. If you really think you want to make an appointment, please feel free to call me. Our telephone number is 410-742-0505. And if I'm not available, Cindy Robinson is our communications director.
who I happen to love.
And she is passionate about helping people understand MAC.
Right. And if I want to give money, what do I do? Where do I go to give money?
You can bring any gift. It can be cash, or if it's a donation of an in-kind item, can come into our facility at 909 Progress Circle, or call us if it's too large to transport and you think we could benefit by having it. Just call and check with us, and we'll let you know for sure.
And I can find it on your website too.
Absolutely. We're also on Facebook, so check us out.
She's Patti Tingle. She's the Executive Director of MEC Incorporated right here in Salisbury, serving a lot of the counties, doing a tremendous job. We're thrilled to have her here today. Thanks for being here.
Well, thank you for having me. We've enjoyed it.
I'm Greg Bassett from the Salisbury Independent Newspaper, another edition of 101 right here on PAC 14.
First Shore Federal is proud to support PAC 14 and one-on-one. We'd encourage every business to support PAC 14 and pick a program and support it, and let's make a difference.